Picture this. A hunting party in Ice Age Europe stumbles upon something that shouldn't exist, something that won't be invented for another 50,000 years. An AK-47, fully loaded, 30 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition. They have no concept of metallurgy, no understanding of chemistry. They've never seen anything more complex than a sharpened stone tied to a stick. But they're about to hold the most reliable killing machine ever created in human history. This is the story of what happens next. Let's ground ourselves in reality for a moment. 50,000 years ago, anatomically modern humans were spreading across Europe and Asia. These weren't primitive brutes. They had the same brain capacity we do today, the same capacity for learning, for creativity, for problem solving. But their world was unimaginably harsh. You wake up cold, always cold. The ice sheets covering northern Europe make survival a daily gamble. Your tribe, maybe 40 people strong, moves constantly following herds of woolly mammoth, reindeer, and wild horses. Your weapons? Spears with stone points, wooden clubs, maybe an atlatl, a spear-throwing device that gives you a bit more range and power. Hunting a mammoth takes coordination, courage, and incredible luck. You need 10 to 15 hunters working together. You drive the beast toward a cliff or into a bog. You throw dozens of spears. And even then, one wrong move means death. A single swipe from those tusks, and you're gone. The average lifespan is about 30 years. Most children don't make it to adulthood. Starvation, disease, predators, rival tribes, everything is trying to kill you. This is humanity at its most vulnerable. This is the world we're about to turn upside down. Now, let's introduce the impossible. Our hunting party is tracking a wounded deer through a river valley when they see it. There, embedded in the clay of a collapsed riverbank, something dark and angular. Something that doesn't belong. Let's say a freak temporal anomaly placed it there. Or an alien observation probe malfunctioned. The how doesn't matter. What matters is what happens when the tribe's best hunter, a man we'll call Koro, pulls it free. The weight surprises him. About 4.8 kilograms of steel, wood, and plastic. He's never felt anything like it. The surface is smooth in ways stone can never be. There are moving parts, mechanisms that click and slide. Koro turns it over in his hands. His fingers find the trigger. The barrel naturally points away from him, and then, purely by accident, he squeezes. The sound is apocalyptic. A crack of thunder that echoes off the valley walls. 3 rounds burst out before Koro drops the weapon in pure terror. The deer he was tracking simply explodes. The kinetic energy from a single 7.62 round traveling at 715 meters per second doesn't just kill, it devastates. The entire hunting party hits the ground. Some run, others freeze, staring at the smoking weapon lying in the grass. But here's the critical moment. Here's where everything changes. Koro doesn't run. He's terrified, yes. But he's also the best hunter in his tribe because he's curious. He's the one who experiments with new spear designs, who tries different hunting strategies. After his heart stops racing, he picks it up again. Carefully this time, and he begins to experiment. Within 3 days, Koro has figured out the basics through pure trial and error. He discovers that squeezing the curved metal piece makes the thunder, that the long metal stick needs to point at what you want to destroy. He learns to brace it against his shoulder after the recoil knocks him down the first few times. He doesn't understand bullets. He doesn't understand gunpowder. He has no concept of the magazine or how to reload, but he knows he has about 27 rounds left, and he knows each one is precious. The tribe witnesses the first intentional kill. A woolly rhinoceros, one of the most dangerous animals in Ice Age Europe, drops dead from 60 meters away. One shot. The tribe has never taken down a rhino without losing multiple hunters. Some of the elders fall to their knees. They think Koro has captured thunder itself, that he's been chosen by the spirits. Within 2 weeks, Koro has killed enough game to feed the tribe for a month. Animals that would normally require elaborate planning and risk fall instantly. Cave bears, cave lions, even a young mammoth. But there's a problem brewing. A problem Koro doesn't fully understand yet. He's down to 14 rounds. Here's where human nature does what human nature always does. Things get complicated. Koro becomes untouchable within his tribe. He controls the thunder stick. He decides who eats and who doesn't. The old tribal hierarchy based on wisdom, experience, and group consensus starts to crumble. Why listen to the elders when Koro can provide more food in an afternoon than they could in a week? But neighboring tribes have noticed something's changed. They've heard the sounds echoing through the valleys. They've seen the smoke. And when they scout Koro's tribe, they see something impossible. 40 people living with abundance in the middle of winter. The first conflict comes when a rival tribe attempts a raid. Koro uses 4 rounds. 4 men drop dead before they can throw a single spear. The rest run, spreading stories of the Thunder Tribe, the tribe that kills from a distance with invisible death. 9 rounds left. Now Koro faces an impossible dilemma. He knows the thunder is finite. He's tried everything to make it work again, adding stones to the opening, hitting it against rocks, even attempting to recreate the small metal pieces he's seen ejecting when he fires. Nothing works. He doesn't have the metallurgical knowledge. He doesn't understand primer caps or propellant. The AK-47 might as well be magic, and magic, he's learning, runs out. So he makes a decision that will echo through generations. He stops using it. The AK-47 becomes sacred. He fires it only in the most desperate circumstances. Once to scare off a pack of cave hyenas threatening the camp. Once during a territorial dispute with another tribe. Once when a cave bear corners 3 children. 5 rounds left. And then Koro dies at age 34 from an infected wound. Here's where we split into possible timelines. Let's explore 3 scenarios. Scenario 1. The Sacred Relic. Koro's son inherits the AK-47. He fires it twice in his entire life. His son, once. Within 4 generations, the weapon no longer works. 50 years of exposure to the elements, attempts to clean it with crude tools, and simple mechanical failure have rendered it inert. But something extraordinary has happened. This tribe has spent 5 decades thinking about the Thunderstick. They've observed its parts. They've tried to understand it. And while they can't recreate it, they've developed something else. They've become the best craftsmen in the region. They've experimented with materials, trying to capture even a fraction of the AK's power. They've developed more sophisticated tools, better spear designs, improved throwing sticks. The AK-47, even dead, has sparked an innovation culture. This tribe begins trading advanced stone tools with other groups. They become wealthy by Ice Age standards, controlling trade routes and resources. By the time modern humans are developing agriculture 40,000 years later, the descendants of Koro's tribe might have had a slight technological edge. Maybe they settled down a few centuries earlier. Maybe they developed metalworking slightly sooner. We might be living in a world where human civilization advanced just a tiny bit faster. Not radically different, but measurably changed. Scenario 2. The Arms Race. But what if Koro's tribe keeps the weapon functional longer through pure luck? What if they fire those last 5 rounds more strategically? Word spreads across Ice Age Europe. Tribes begin forming alliances specifically to counter the Thunder Tribe. They develop new tactics. They start using terrain more strategically, attacking only when the Thunderstick can't be used effectively. The AK-47 sparks humanity's first true arms race. Other tribes become more aggressive, more desperate. They develop better weapons out of necessity. Stronger spears, better bows, more sophisticated group tactics. When the AK finally fails, the ripple effects remain. Tribes across Europe have become more militarized, more organized, more strategic. This could accelerate human conflict development by thousands of years. We might see fortified settlements appearing 20,000 years earlier. Organized warfare becoming normalized much sooner in human development. The long-term consequences? Possibly darker. A more violent human history. Resources funneled into weapons rather than art or culture. Maybe we reach technological milestones faster, but at a terrible cost. Scenario 3. The Forgotten Mystery. Here's the most likely scenario. Koro uses up his ammunition quickly, the weapon is lost or discarded as useless, and life returns to normal. But here's the thing about humans. We tell stories. For generations, Koro's descendants speak of their ancestor who wielded thunder. The story gets embellished, mythologized. Maybe it influences their art. Those cave paintings we find from this era, perhaps one shows a figure holding something angular and powerful. 40,000 years later, maybe we find the AK-47 as an out-of-place artifact, corroded beyond recognition, but clearly manufactured. It becomes the Ice Age's version of the Antikythera mechanism, a mystery that shouldn't exist. And maybe, just maybe, it influences one scientist, one engineer, to think differently about what ancient humans were capable of. To push boundaries, to question assumptions. So what if cavemen found an AK-47? Probably less would change than you think. The weapon would fire 30 times and then become a mystery, a story, maybe a catalyst for slightly faster innovation. But ultimately, human history would roll on, driven not by a single piece of advanced technology, but by the collective knowledge and adaptability of our species. But here's the question I want to leave you with. What modern technology are we treating like Koro treated the AK-47? What are we using without truly understanding? And what happens when that technology fails and we can't reload? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story bent your mind even a little, hit subscribe. Tomorrow we'll explore, what if cavemen had grenades? You won't want to miss it.